totally fine. Maintenance. Yeah, that's the thing now. We're good to French fries today. Yeah, we eat the French fries today. Yeah. Um, um, yeah. We made French fries today. How's it been? You've been now playing just football. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the game according to me. This is where we talk about mostly sports. No, mostly sports. This is a sports podcast. I have the debut of the AJTRIP show debuting this Saturday, so make sure to look for that wherever you find your your favorite podcast. Make sure to look for it there, and look for it over on YouTube. So yes, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. We gotta talk about a unfortunate championship game for my Fighting Irish, and of course the divisional playoff games, and looking ahead to this championship Sunday. Yes, so let's start. We're reviewing the national championship game. Ohio State, congratulations to them. They won. They beat my Fighting Irish 34-23. Um, the game started off for us Irish fans really good. Notre Dame had an 18-play, 75-yard drive. Went right down and scored a touchdown. It was amazing. You kind of thought, wow, that was something, right? And I was getting feelings of the Super Bowl between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants. For many people felt the Buffalo Bills were the better team. They had an explosive offense. It was quick strike, and the New York Giants didn't even have their quarterback Phil Simms. They had the backup playing in Jeff Hostel. But they came out with a great plan to control the clock. The New York Giants, and Otis Anderson ran crazy. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl. Yada, yada. So I was I was thinking that this was what Notre Dame was going to do. They were Ohio State's a quick strike offense, yada yada, but they were going to ball control their way to a victory. Ohio State, they came back. They went right down the field. They scored a touchdown. It was 7-7, and then the first quarter was over just like that. First quarter was over in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. That's amazing. But then the second drive, the Irish stalled, and then Ohio State they got another touchdown. They went up. They went up. 14-7, and they went up 21. They had scored at the end of the half. It was 21-7 in the halftime, and it was really looking bleak. And for me as an Irish fan, I was really down. I was really down because at one point when we started off the third quarter, it was 31-7, and I was really down because this wasn't supposed to happen to Notre Dame anymore. Notre Dame now were able to get the players, and a lot of that is for Brian Kelly, and some of that is also Marcus Freeman, but they were now able to get the players to where they could hang with teams on defense. You saw what they did with Georgia, an SEC team. They were able to hang and pretty much and beat one of the best SEC teams. They were able to hang with Penn State. They should have been able to hang with Ohio State. But being down 31-7 proved one thing, and one thing to me. And it's still about the quarterback. Your team, as much as heart, as much as drive, as much as grit and resilience a team can have, and that Notre Dame team has it, it is still about the quarterback. And Ohio State focused on after that first drive. Ohio State focused on the run. They wanted to make Riley Leonard a passer, and Riley Leonard is just not a passer. He just isn't. And that's just the way it is. He's just not a passer, and it kind of showed. Now you may wonder. Well, he looked like he was a passer in the second half. Yeah, going 22 of 31, 255 and 2 touchdowns. Yes, but that was the first time he threw for over 250 yards this year. That was the first time. He has not been. He is, and if you watched him from the very beginning until now, you realize that he was not a passer. And even though he got better throwing the ball throughout the year, he still that's not his game. Obviously, his game is running. He's a guy. who, like you look at his rushing, right? 17 carries, 40 yards. Now I think that was a you know aberration. I think because I think he's the type of person that he runs the ball 13 times a game, something like that, and he'll get you like 70 some yards off of those 13 carries. And then he's also someone that he throws it like the game I think he had at Penn State where he was 17 or 21. That's what he normally does. Say he's like a 17 or 21 type of guy. It's him running the ball. It's Jeremiah Love running the ball. It's Darian Price running the ball. Which, by the way, they stopped him as well. Jeremiah Love had 4 runs for 3 yards. Darian Price had 3 runs for 13 yards. I think did a fantastic job, and that's all you can say. And it was quarterback because I had been saying, and I think I said it maybe last week on the podcast when I was talking about Lamar Jackson and how I would defend Lamar Jackson. If I didn't say it, then I'll repeat it again. One of the things I think that you have to defend Lamar Jackson right now, the way he has, stepped up his game from the passing experts, is that you have to man up. You have to man up the things, right? You send 4 to rush, right? You send 4 to rush. You man up everywhere else, and then you have 2 men on Lamar Jackson. You have the spy, you have the rush spy, and then you have the spy. And what I mean by that is that because if you can get to him with 4, he's able to break out of the pocket and make a move and things like that. So you would have your rush spy. So when Lamar Jackson would break out of the pocket, your rush spy would rush towards him. If he would run towards him like that. Then they have like the spy. The spy would stay back. He would stay back, kind of, to be the look at, to be that lookout, so that if the rush spy misses or can't get some, then he's next in line. But I would still have the guys man up. I would have them try to cover, do man coverage, and stay with the man as long as he could, as long as they can. I know it's hard to cover like 5 or 6 seconds, they say, but try to man cover as long as you can, right? Do like that. At some point, that needed to be Will Howard, because they were doing an all right job of manning up and like that. But then at some point, Will Howard didn't break the pocket and then run out. And then of course he was doing that thing just like Lamar Jackson does. And then so then at the point that when he breaks the pocket, everybody starts just 2 or 3 guys rushing him, getting away from their man, or getting out of their zone, and then he can throw the ball behind them, and that's how they get one of their touchdowns. And that's what they need to do. And Will Howard played a real well as well. 17 of 21, 231, 2 touchdowns. The big one was the 3rd down when Notre Dame had came back and they were resilient and they had to get it to an 8-point game, 31 to 23. It was a 3rd down and like 8 or 9, maybe even more, and they went 0 blitz. Did Notre Dame tried to get to Will Howard? They knew it was coming, so they threw a go ball. And to Jeremiah Smith, the fantastic rookie, and he caught it, and that was the game. They ran down the clock, kicked the field goal, and they won. So, again, it's amazing what Ohio State did. Losing to Michigan, you thought, everybody was saying, which I disagreed with, by the way. Everybody was saying that you needed to, that Ryan Day was probably maybe getting fired. No, look at Ryan Day's record. So what? He's lost 3 games to Michigan, 3 consecutive games to Michigan, or 4 maybe it's even 4 consecutive games to Michigan. Who cares? Those 4 losses are like 4 or 6 or 7 losses he's had in his career. You're really gonna fire him just because he can't beat Michigan? But when he's got this tremendous tremendous record. I thought it was stupid to talk about it to begin with. And now and now I think that he's shown that he can lose to Michigan, but as long as he wins, 10, 11 other games, he's gonna make it to the college football playoff, and he can do some damage. So again, congratulations to them. They were definitely a worthy champion. As for my Fighting Irish, it's disappointing. Um, this might have been one of their chances. I think the said coach in this new era of college football with NIL, and who knows necessarily how they do. They're not like Clemson or Army and Navy, where an Air Force where they don't go into the transfer portal. They went into the transfer portal, and they got Riley Leonard, they got the kicker Mitch Jeter, they got some of their receivers, Chris Mitchell and a few others. Um, so that's good. That's good. And I'm sure by this, by Marcus Freeman, something like that, there are going to be people who will want to transfer to Notre Dame to play for him. Whether it's a graduate transfer, whether it's in the transfer portal, they will want to play for Notre Dame to play for him. And I'm sure there are high school people who will want to send their team to Notre Dame. Now, I still think Notre Dame has those highly academic academic things where they only take a certain academic type of athlete. I think they still have those limitations on it, and it's self-imposed limitations, by the way. A lot of teams do that. I think Duke, Stanford, Northwestern, and Notre Dame. They're like maybe I'm not sure, but I think those are the only ones who have very high academic standards. Where like other teams, well, we'll take a guy who maybe has a 1.4 GPA in high school, but obviously he's a talented player. But I don't think like Notre Dame, Northwestern, Stanford, Duke, they would take those guys. They want the guys who are like 3.5 GPAs and things like that. As well as being, great athletes. I'm not sure about the graduate transfers with what happens with them, but I think that's the way it is. So we all have to wait and see. And listen, I was at some point in that game I was calling for Steve Angeli to come in because you knew you were gonna have to throw the ball, and Riley Leonard I didn't have the confidence in him to do so. And maybe Steve Angeli will be the quarterback next year for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Maybe. The limited time I've seen him play, I've loved what I've seen from him as a passer, and I think he can be one. He's not somebody who can take the ball and run and things like that or anything like that. But I think he's someone who can stay in the pocket. He doesn't look to be get happy feet in the pocket when a blitz is coming, or when rushers are coming towards him. He makes the right play. So I would love to see Steve Angeli there, or if they get somebody in the transfer portal, or if there's a high schooler that's coming out they feel is a quarterback, fine. But I want them to get a quarterback that can pass. I really want them to get a quarterback that can pass. So yeah, it was a great game. I'm glad they got to see the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in it, and that's about that. As overall, I thought this was a great college football season. I thought the 12-team college football player worked out the way that it should, and there have been some great things about next year because everybody get their ass on their back because the great Alabama was not in the college football playoff, and SMU and Arizona State and Clemson and Indiana, they were. Right? They were. But that's what it was, and I'm glad to hear that that is not going to change, at least for next year. Not going to change at least next year, and that's because for changes to be made to this playoff, all of the participants, the presidents, chancellors, commissioners, they all would have to agree on the change. And I think one of the changes that people have talked about is the seeding, right? Instead of doing it where the highest ranked conference, four of the highest ranked conference champions, they get to bye, and the fifth one gets an automatic bid and gets an automatic bid into the playoffs. There's some talk about just taking it 1 through 12, which is no, that's not how we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this fair because we know there is a bias on the SEC. There's a bias towards the SEC. They always say the SEC is the best conference, the best players, yada yada yada. That shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter. And I think it would be, because I think because even though the committee say that they don't try not to have a bias, and they proved the issue, so maybe you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Still, you have to wonder. You have to wonder if they did do it like 1 through 12. Would they, would they do something like that? Do something where they would keep out teams that are champions of a conference not in. Because if they did it 1 through 12, Clemson and Arizona State would not have made it. Clemson won the ACC, but they were ranked, but in the college football player rankings, they were ranked 16th. Arizona, I believe, was ranked 15th and won the Big 12. So no, that's not. And I think ironically, well, no, never mind. But that's what have happened. So no, it's fine the way it is, right? And it's gonna be like that for next year. Now maybe what you do is maybe you take the rankings. Maybe what you however do is maybe the playoff committee to make everybody feel a lot more better about it is you take the you take the 5 conference champions and you just put them automatically in the top 12. So yeah. So maybe what you would say so that maybe so that you don't have Clemson, who is ranked 16th, something like that. They would just be ranked 12th if they were the lowest ranked seed or something like that. I don't know, but I think the conference champions have to be in it, and so does the things. And they talked about 2026. I'm not sure. Again, let me do a quick check. I don't think they've made. I know there was some talk about a 14-team college football. Okay. So this is the thing. So this is looking at from December 10th. The expanding the college football playoffs to 14 teams will be considered for the 2026 season. That's what I had heard before. It would be a turnaround, and it would be something that is the thing. Now, again, I'll say this: if you would expand it to 14 teams, I would say that it's going to be where 2 get the spots. And again, I would say the same thing there again. If you're gonna do 14 teams, then I think you have to do the same thing where 5 conference champions get automatic bids. But maybe what you did, maybe what you do, you just re-rank them. You would rank they get they are automatically in the top 14. No matter who it is, no matter where they're ranked. If it's if it's you know if it's Western Michigan from the back, who's 8-5, you know they're 8-5. They're the fifth highest ranked conference champion. They automatically go into the playoffs. They're just the 14th seed, but they belong in there. And then I've already obviously it's going to go to 16 teams. And I think and we can talk about this a lot more, delve deeper into this, and maybe I might actually do a video about it at some point. Actually, I think I will. Actually, I think I will do something about this college football playoff expansion at some point. So I'll talk about that. It'll be on my YouTube channel. It's a good video to do. But at some point, yeah, you may have to even have everybody in a conference, including my Notre Dame, who I love the fact that I love their independence, but maybe they even need to be in a conference. So, yeah, but again, once again, a great college football season. Notre Dame made the college football championship game interesting. Unfortunately, this wasn't their day, and once again, congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes, their 2025-26 college football national champions. Now to the NFL. Alright, so now let's check out the National Football League. Going to Saturday, we had the first game with the Texans and the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat the Texans 23-14. There were some calls in that game that have obviously set the NFL universe on fire, about NFL being rigged, and they're protecting Patrick Mahomes and everything like that. So there were some late hits. Person I heard from the past is Will Anderson, which I agree with, because his head did hit the head. They're going to call that. You can't, that's just the way it is. By the rule, they made the right call. The second personal foul necessary roughing this thing, where Patrick Mahomes was running around and he slid, and Troy Aikman went all crazy about it. I understand it, because when you look at the replay, they really didn't. They kind of grazed his helmet, but really it wasn't a really big blow or forcible blow. They mainly collided into each other more than they did Patrick Mahomes. So that's maybe one of the things where you say yes, that shouldn't have been called. It does make the great argument about doing these calls, because they do expedited reviews for things like catches and touchdowns and things like that. They should be able to do the expedited reviews for these 15-yard penalties. And I think that's the only thing. It's the only thing they should do. Are the personal foul 15-yard penalties, the unsportsmanlike, maybe unsportsmanlike conduct? Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe you can do the sportsmanlike conduct, but definitely the personal foul. Anything that's 15 yards, roughing the punter, roughing the passer, face mask, unnecessary roughness, anything where it's 15 yards, you should be able to have an expedited review of it and see if it deserves the thing. And yeah, just do a quick 30-second look at it, review it, and just do it like any other review. If there are how do what's the verbiage they use? If it's obvious, if it's clear and obvious, if it's clear and obvious that it was or it wasn't, then it's confirmed. There's no need to. You can go on. But if it if it's not clear and obvious, then it stands. You know, and that's how you have to do. So, but yeah, he played great. The sacks on CJ Stroud, I think, were a big part. They sacked him 8 times. Um, in this game, the Kansas City Chiefs, great defensive effort, and the Chiefs, head on to Texas, and they moved on to the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes in his 7th AFC Championship game. He didn't play his first year. He played the last game of the season when the Chiefs set everybody down like they normally do. But ever since his first year as a starter, his second year in the league, first year as a starter, he has never made it. The farthest he has made it is the AFC Championship game, at least the AFC Championship game, which is amazing for that dude. That's still amazing. Saturday night was kind of the heartbreaker for even maybe Chicago Bear fans like myself. To see the Lions get kind of do like that, be taken out, then they have their chance at a championship taken down. Commanders played a great game. Obviously, the Lions had 5 turnovers. Jared Goff had 4 of them. Yeah, you can't turn the ball over. That was part of it. Another part of it was obviously the defense. They couldn't get the Commanders off the field, and with all the defensive injuries and things like that, finally caught up to them, and they just couldn't do it. And so they were unable to stop the Commanders. The Commanders took a lead and never gave it back, and it was there. It's 45-31 to the Commanders going on to the NFC Championship game. Really quick, to talk about the Lions, Ben Johnson is now the new head coach of my Chicago Bears. Aaron Glenn is now the new head coach for the New York Jets. So now there's a lot of talk about are the Lions look to be, are their Super Bowl window done? Is it done? And listen, there's a possibility that they might be done because things like that happen, right? But I would like to think that Dan Campbell has created a culture. Excuse me. Dan Campbell has created a culture to where, if they're healthy, they're going to be great. And I think he also has created, he is going to be able to find players to replace him. I think one of the things that he wanted to do was he wanted to surround himself and his coaching staff with people who played. And people who could coach the, defense. So I think he'll find another defensive coordinator, whether he promotes from within or finds from the outside, and then the same thing with offense. If he, promotes from within, or if he finds someone from the outside to come in and be able to still, keep it along. I we'll have to wait and see. Now, next year is going to be a totally different year. So I don't know if the Lions will be like 15-2 like they were this year. But I would be shocked if they end up like bottoming out, unless there are massive injuries. Again, and it's to everywhere. It's to both the offense and the defense, and not just the defense. I would. That's the only way I would see the Lions bottoming out. But yeah, I'm still going to expect them to be the division winner in the North and still compete for a chance at going to the Super Bowl. At least that's what I'm doing right now in my very early prediction. To Sunday's action, in the snow, we had the Eagles beat the Rams 28-22. Great game. 3 40-plus yard run for touchdowns in this game for the Eagles. One by Jalen Hurts, two by Saquon Barkley. They just run over the Rams. They can't stop them for some reason. They have about an offensive line that is great. That's one in the Eagles that is good. And the Rams, they held it on. The California team playing in the snow was didn't look like a California team. They handled the snow very well. And they had a chance to go down and win due to some questionable things from Nick Sirianni. But they did some good stuff there, and you got to give them credit for that. So the Eagles makes it on to the championship, and because the Commanders beat the Lions, the championship game will be in Philly, and that will be the first game on Sunday. The Commanders at the Eagles. Don't know if it's going to be snowing then or how cold it's going to be, but that's going to be a good game. The third time DC will play, each one won. They won in their home stadium. Do have to say that Jalen Hurts went out with the concussion that game in Washington. So, maybe it would have been a different story if they had Jalen Hurts. But this is gonna be an interesting game. Can Jalen Daniels as a rookie make it to the Super Bowl, and can he continue to play? Now, the first game they played the Eagles, it wasn't. He did have some struggles, but the second game he played better, and would he still continue to play with the poise and the confidence that he has throughout this entire season? The second game was the AFC game between the Ravens and the Bills, and the Bills won that 27-25. Most of you guys know I am not a Lamar Jackson fan, big time. I would give him all the credit in the world this year for playing the way he did, especially when you're talking about playing the position of quarterback from the pocket, throwing the ball. He was amazing, and he added that with his with his run ability. He was amazing this year. And if he didn't win the NFL MVP last year, I would probably be a lot more reasonable, and a lot less, staunch that it has to be Josh Allen. And even though now everybody, because he won first team All Pro, it looks like that he will be the MVP and whatever. That's a thing there that I don't want to go into right now, but it's just ridiculous. But I have to give him credit. In this game, they were the better team. Lamar Jackson was the better quarterback in that game. He's not the better quarterback, when it comes to the playing position period. But he's the better quarterback that day. And I think part of that was maybe because the Bills, they stopped Josh Allen. They for some reason they wanted to. I think someone said run out the clock. They had a lead at halftime, and they just decided, okay, well we'll just run out the clock. Instead of trying to, they come out of half. They had a 21-10 lead at half, I believe, and they could have came out of the half, drove down the field, scored a touchdown, put them up 28-10, and virtually made, it could have virtually made Baltimore, a one-trick pony, one-dimensional. But because they didn't, and they slow played it and things like that, trying to run the ball and not trying to, have Josh Allen throw the ball down the field. The Baltimore Ravens was able to run the ball effectively, and you knew they were. If you gave them the chance, they were going to. You couldn't hold them down for long. I was surprised that there wasn't a lot of read option stuff in the game. I was very surprised at that. That they didn't do a lot of read option with Lamar Jackson, where he could read and he could take it or anything like that. It wasn't too many design runs at all with Lamar Jackson, so that was kind of strange. But whatever. But yeah, they drove down the field, scored a touchdown. They got back into this game, even to the point to where Lamar Jackson drove them down the field in the last minute of the game to score a touchdown. They went for two-point conversion, and Mark Andrews dropped it. Dropped it, unfortunately. They kicked it off, trying to get an outside kick. Bills recovered it, and they ran out the clock. The Bills won. And, again, I think the Ravens played better. They probably were the better team. But Josh Allen is the better quarterback, so quarterback means so much in, again, pro and college football, that the team with the better quarterback won. So then you have that. So now you have it as it should be. The two best quarterbacks. I put this out on Twitter, and I said that I don't think I'm living in the moment. I don't think this isn't a hot take. But Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen could possibly be the two best quarterbacks of all time. So I think it's no doubt in my mind that it should come down. It should always come down to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Whether it's in the divisional round, whether it's an AFC Championship game, hell, maybe if they won't at one point play in a wild card game. But it should always come down to Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, and that's the team. That's the team. The winner of that game. That's the team that should win the Super Bowl each and every year. Until someone else steps up their game, or until the Cincinnati Bengals can, stop starting the season off, with losses. So I think that's where it should be, and so that's going to be good. NFC doesn't necessarily matter. I like to see Jaden Daniels make it there, just so you can say that the rookie made it to the Super Bowl. I think that would be awesome. But without question, and I love Patrick Mahomes and I love the Chiefs, and I'm not one of these guys. I'm not Marlon Humphrey. I'm not one of these guys that says that I root against the Chiefs because they're winning. I'm rooting for most of the time I root for the Chiefs because I love greatness, but I love Josh Allen more, and I want Josh Allen to to finally get his goddamn respect that he deserves. And to do that, he's beat Lamar. He's to go to Kansas City and beat Patrick Mahomes. Then he's got to go and win the Super Bowl, whether he's the MVP or not. So, speaking of that, going back to that Ravens game, we talked about Mark Andrews. There's been a lot of talk about, specifically on First Take about Mark Andrews, and he didn't speak. And he didn't speak after the game on Sunday. He didn't speak on Monday during clean-out time. And I agree with Stephen A. As a professional, you need to speak. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you only dropped 2 passes during the season. That was the third. Yes, you haven't fumbled since 2019. That fumble you had in the game that set up the field goal for the Bills to make it 24. Was it 24? 24-19. Yeah, 24. It went from 24-19 to 24-17. No, 27. Okay, hold on. The fumble he had, that got the Bills a field goal, so it went from 24-19 to 27-19. Thank you. English, motherfucker, do you speak it? So yeah, but you've got to speak. And even if you don't speak Sunday, I can respect that, your emotions, things like that. You got to speak on Monday. You got to speak on Monday. And he hasn't said one word. And I think that's the wrong thing. I think he's got to speak on Monday. I do agree with that. But Bills Mafia, as always, showing their love and support for things like that. They have donated to Mark Andrews charity for type 1 diabetes, and they have raised over $30,000. I think it was said yesterday on NFL Live. that has been sent to the charity on Mark Andrews' behalf. Bills Mafia is just it's such a wonderful group of fans. They're crazy. They jump on tables. They do things with mustard and ketchup and everything like that. But those are some really good ass people I think for the most part. And I think when it really comes down to it, they probably are. You know, we always want to say we're the best fans in the world. Chicago's got the best fans, yada yada yada. You know, but when it comes down to it, Bills Mafia is probably the best fan base, and not only in sports but in all of entertainment. It really is, and that's a really good thing. So, conference championship games: Commanders versus Eagles, Bills versus Chiefs. Sunday is gonna be fun. I can't wait. Let's wrap this puppy up. All right, guys. So there you have it. Another podcast in the books. Um, we will be doing a podcast next week talking about the AFC and talking about Championship Sunday. We'll also probably delve into the NBA world, check on the All-Star voting, the standings, things like that. Maybe talk about Jimmy Butler, things of that nature. I don't know what Jimmy's doing. He's ruining his career, it seems like. And we'll get into that. And then after that, the last game, according to me, will be obviously the recap of the Super Bowl. And we'll do that one. And then, like, see, I have to figure out if I want to keep doing, like, what I've done in the past is I've done, like, the game according to me once a month. And I've talked about what went down in that month in baseball and, like, news and other things like that. And I think I want to keep doing it once a month. But we'll have to see. I'm not going to stick to it. One thing I've done this year is that when it comes to my content, I'm not going to force content anymore. I'm not really going to force content. When it comes to my wrestling podcast stuff, or not wrestling podcast, but my wrestling show on YouTube, that's the shoot. If I don't have anything to talk about when it comes to the world of wrestling, I'm not going to do it. I think I'm going to probably do that with my other podcast, AJTRIP show. If I don't have anything to talk about, you know, I'm not going to do the AJTRIP show. I'm not going to try to do one once a month. If I do 2 a month, that's fine. If I do 3 a month, that's fine. But if I go 2 months without doing one, that's also fine. And I think the same thing I'm going to do for the game according to me. If I feel like I need to speak up and talk about some of the things that may happen, like, you know, I may talk about what, you know, afterwards the NBA All-Star game, and if I like it or if I don't. I'm not going to like it. You know, something like that. To be honest with you, I probably won't even watch it. I'll just have it on TV as, you know, as noise, background noise. But that's what I'm going to do this year. I said I'm not going to try to force content for the most part. I'm just going to let it flow happening. Hopefully you guys out there will listen to it or watch it or whatever. So, and if you do listen to it, and you do watch it, and you do like it, and you want to support this content, please go to patreon.com/AJTrip and become a patron. Once I hit a certain amount of patrons, you will be able to determine what you see on my YouTube channel. What video games I play on Twitch, I have to have the video game, and what I talk about on my other podcast, the AJTrip Show. Again, look for the first episode to drop this weekend. On all podcast platforms, so make sure you do that. Make sure you click the link in the description box down below for the Spotify support. You can, you know, support on Spotify. They have 3 tiers: 99¢, $4.99, and $9.99. So, and then of course, if you don't have the money to support it, there are also great ways to do it as well. Rate my podcast, share my podcast on your social media, things like that. If you're listening to this on YouTube, like and share the videos as well. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is going to be a great weekend. Let's all have some fun. As always, guys, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I'm out.